All right, back to paddling here. So I know there's a riffle here, and the finish is about 3 miles from here. And in a race, when you're within 15 minutes of the finish, that's where things can get a little serious. Now, I've been in races where we kind of mutually agreed that we're not going to do anything until a mile before they end, some bridge or whatever, that you just sort of, everybody's tired, and there's no great advantage of starting an intense push for the finish when the outcome probably wouldn't be any different. So usually, sometimes you can do that if the teams are relatively humble and aren't afraid, or they're confident enough in their abilities that it won't matter that they wait to a sprint at the end. So anyways, or let's say a sprint or some point, and it makes it more enjoyable in a long event if you can have a mutual agreement like that where you trust each other to say, hey, we're not going to pull any funny stuff until this point. Now, it depends on who you're racing with, but sometimes it makes the experience a lot more enjoyable for everybody, and it really doesn't change the outcome of the race. But anyway, at this point, we're close enough that you want to start thinking strategy. Now, I don't know how many times I've been racing through here, probably 30, 40 times in a race situation. And so we have fast water. So the first thing I'm going to do, 15 minutes to go, make sure I drink. Many times, with being this close, I'll drink, throw my hose in the water, and the rest of my water will siphon out. Because if you drink 15 minutes before a race and you have that drink, you shouldn't have to drink any more. So why carry a third of a bottle, to the end? So here, so you want to drink. I probably should have drank beforehand, because this is kind of a strategic point. Fast water could get shallow, swirly. You probably want to go through that list of 5 things. Breathe, relax. And I tell my partner, hey, Todd, or whoever, Todd or Steve, breathe deep. And you kind of want to get yourself a little excited now. Okay, it's okay to have a little of adrenaline. Think about the finish line, sprinting towards the end. Your body will naturally help prepare itself, get some of that adrenaline going. Okay, again, relax, and think about loosening everything up. Keep your hands loose. Drive down. Don't bury your paddle. Breathe deep. Make sure you're not bobbing your head. Now, it's important to stay real relaxed here. You see this water is swirling. You'll get this a lot. The war canoe, you can't feel it so much, but here the boat's kind of going and then or and it's, you don't want to fight it. You just paddle 7 times on a side, whatever you're used to, and just go with it. Because if something throws you to the left a foot, like right now I'm going to the left, chances are something's going to throw me to the right a foot. Okay? Now, sometimes this water in the riffles gets real swirly, and you just kind of have to relax and get ready to brace. A brace is not like this. That's an air brace. But you want to put your blade flat on the water, kind of like skipping, like a water skier. Pretend you're a water skier, back and forth. That's the best way to brace. And we all do it. We all do the air brace. Something gets us excited, we go, whoa! That's very ineffective bracing. We call that an air brace. Try not to air brace. Matter of fact, practice going like this. Just slap under that. You lose a lot less time slapping your blade than flipping over, emptying your boat. You know what I mean? So you're better off playing it safe. If something feels weird, just go like that. Your partner will be happy. He'll feel stable. You might say, what are you doing? You say, well, I just brace. No one's going to complain about losing the stroke if you just save the boat from tipping. So that's something I would practice. Just practice doing a water ski both forward and backwards, because eventually your blade's going to sink. So to keep it from sinking, you just go back and forth. I don't know if you can see this, kind of go back and forth like this. For the guys near the front, it's important to help steer by little, what we call draw strokes, which means what you're doing, instead of coming straight back, which by the way is another thing you need to think about, coming straight back, but you can just go off to the side and kind of pull the bow over. That's going to help save, the guy steering, and you're going to be much more efficient turns if everybody helps. Usually in the work canoe, the top two people are the ones in charge of pulling the bow left and right, like a place like Brown's Track where you have to do all these turns. That's real important. And then sometimes the two guys, the guy right in front of the guy steering, will work, and they'll both paddle on the same sides. Like if they want to go right, the guy in front will paddle on the left, and two guys in front will pull it over, and the guys in the middle will be the power. So you kind of want to have some teamwork there, and try to practice this so you can be like a non-verbal thing. Now, one of my ideas is to work with Google Assistant or another system for natural language processing and come up with some kind of a system where you can communicate coaching-wise, where the app will keep track of your GPS direction and will kind of go into a somewhat autopilot, because as you know, you need to switch every so often, and in C1 you can do it anytime you want. In C2 or more, the guy in the back normally says hut, and the huts usually come hut before the last stroke, then you finish the stroke and switch. Go hut, usually in the air, finish, switch. Hut, finish, switch. Hut, finish, switch. So we try to keep anywhere from 7 to 10 strokes on the side. Seems to be good for recovery. If some people, if they go more than 10, it's tiring, but it really shouldn't be. Matter of fact, that would probably be a good exercise. Is you can't paddle 30 times on the side fairly hard without feeling some kind of discomfort. That means you're probably not doing something right. You're paddling with your arms, you're not breathing properly, you're burying your paddle. So I found over the years that it really doesn't bother me to paddle 30 times on the side fairly hard, because I've learned to use my core, and my arms usually don't wear out. So, and I think automatically, if my arms do feel tired, I catch it soon enough to say, oh wait a minute, I'm arm paddling, keep my lower back straight, go through some of those steps, drive down, keep my elbows from bending. All those things will put me back. Now I can paddle 30 times on one side again without feeling any discomfort. Now the guy in the bow, I think, is a lot more dynamic muscle-wise, and he's usually stronger. Whenever possible, I try not to have my bow person paddle more than 10 or 12 times. For example, if we have a situation where we have to go, we get winds blowing and it's constantly blowing the canoe to the right, I'll paddle on the right to make the canoe go to the left 30 times, but in that 30 times I might switch him back and forth 3 or 4 times, so that he doesn't have to paddle on the same side, because again, he's my engine and I'd rather keep him bound. So now in terms of steering, there's different levels of steering. The best way to keep a boat straight is just to switch regularly, okay, without any draw strokes whatsoever. You're just putting in and pulling back. The canoe naturally is going to go veer off in one direction. Before it goes too far, you call a switch and it comes back. The next level of steering should be with a lean. So if I'm paddling on the right, the boat should go to the left, but if I need a little more left because there's a left turn, I'll just kind of drop my right hip, and if the guy in the bow is loose, he'll let me tilt it a couple inches. He trusts me enough to know that I'm not just trying to throw him out of the boat. He's not going to counter that. There are some bow people that just start paddling that they feel a lean and they right away get stiff. But it's really important for boat control to have the stern guy's got to be able to lean a little bit. And sometimes the bow guy can initiate the lean too, especially if you got a bunch of corners and you don't know what's coming after. Maybe there's a log. Sometimes the bow person can either bring the lean back or initiate the lean if you got to turn real tight to come into it. But if you have a good loose hips, then you're able to have that flexibility. So that's the second level of steering. The first level, of course, is just regular huts. The second level is leaning the boat a little bit. Sometimes in a real tight lean, you can lean the boat so that if it wasn't for the center cover on these C2 Pro boats, you'd have water pouring in. So that's sometimes the professionals will lean that hard. And of course, the third level, this is plan C on steering, but this is going to slow the boat down significantly, and that's your drawing. And again, the guy in the bow or the stern, either one can do a little draw stroke where you're actually pulling the water underneath the canoe. And that will, of course, pull the canoe in that direction. But the problem is you're losing your forward propulsion, so it's going to slow the boat down. But it's kind of hard to avoid. What I try to do is use the lean when I need extra steering, and as last resort, I'll do a little draw stroke. Now, when I have the camera behind me, I see that I do a lot more draw stroking than I think I'm doing. So sometimes you just have to, but there might be another step to think about. And if you're in the back, not to do too many draw strokes. You should paddle straight ahead and use the lean, and then if you need more than the lean, then you use a draw stroke. And then the next level of steering, number 4, would be the cross bow rudder. So you're actually ruddering, and for the bow guy, it's called a cross bow, where they actually, without switching their hands, they'll switch like this, and they'll turn their paddle right on the other side. So you hold your hands, and you go like this, you point your paddle slightly out, and it brings the front around, and you can get a lot of force behind it that way, but there's absolutely no forward motion you're contributing to, so the other guy is doing all the work. Now, for the stern guy, again, he can do a little bit of drawing, but you can't necessarily, the crossbow is not going to be very effective. The best effective is actually it's kind of like a J stroke, where you actually put your paddle behind you, you use your hand as a pivot, and you actually just, force the canoe. Usually, I guess it'd be, if you're on the right, it's going to push the canoe, to the left. But again, that puts all the forward momentum propulsion on your partner. So you don't want to use that, only in extreme cases, maybe around the buoy turn. Sometimes you get into really rough water, and the boat wants to go, you have to go kind of diagonal on the waves. They're coming from behind. Matter of fact, sometimes just to stay upright, it's better for the guy on the back to drag his paddle as a rudder and let the guy in the front propel himself. My brother and I did a race in Canada. That first day was finishing like that, and we were doing great, like in 5th or something. And we hit this last 45-minute section, open water, waves coming, about 2-3 foot waves coming from the side. And it was all we could do to keep the boat going. We ended up paddling on the same side for almost like that 45 minutes because I couldn't switch them. Because every time I switch them, the boat would go pink into the angle of the waves, or the trough of the wave. And remember, I had this tendonitis. My wrist would actually squeak. It was that strenuous. And then I looked on a video of Serge Corbin and Brett Stockton. Brett would be there, he'd be ruddering to keep the boat from twisting into the trough. Like, well, why didn't I think of that? You know, even though it's the fourth option in steering, sometimes that's the most effective way to keep the boat going. And I think if we had known that technique, we may have held that 5th place position. I think that first day we finished like 12th. Could have done a lot better. So you learn, you know. But in a war canoe, again, you sort of have to figure out, it's pretty much the same thing. You want to use the drawing and the ruddering as a last resort and try to keep your boat going straight with the regular switching. Now I know for first time for Lycoming College, it was very difficult with those sliding seats to switch. But as you probably know, with enough practice, you can switch every 15 or 10 like nothing, like smooth as silk switching. I know you guys only switched every 5 or 10 minutes because it was a little nerve-wracking making sure everybody slid their seats appropriately without slipping. But that means that your steerer, Jay, probably had to resort to some draw strokes and maybe even some rudders to keep the boat going. Not to fault Jay, but that just was just maybe a lack of practice and preparation for the whole team. That was just nothing you can do about it. You know, you just and that's why we're trying to make this, do some coaching so that you have these things in mind when you come to class, and then we